Okay, you got your drama school audition coming up. I am about to save you a lot of time because I'm going to show you exactly how to find new contemporary monologues written in the last 25 years that aren't overdone, that you are going to love. Let me show you exactly how I do it in under 30 minutes. Okay, so join me at my computer screen here. I'm actually going to show you in this video 5 different ways to go about this. For the first couple, we're going to be using AI, but if you don't like AI or you're not getting good results trying it this way, then there's a couple of ways at the end that you can try instead that are AI free, so you're covering all your bases. And number 3 is one that I want you to stick around for because it's really, really useful for kind of impressing the panel. So stick around for that. Let's jump in. So the first thing we're going to do is ask it to find plays that have a similar theme or tone to shows or movies that you have enjoyed recently. I'm going to specify the last 25 years because that usually helps. The more recent, the better. You can tell it what you think the tone is. So I've used Slow Horses because that's something I've been enjoying lately. But if you're not sure, if you're kind of not really sure how to define tone, you can actually ask it to define the tone first. So tell me what you think the tone of this show is and just see if that's on the mark for you, because sometimes it will tell you, oh, I think it's this dark comedy, and you're like, well, no, it's not. So you have to just check these things. I usually also add that you're looking for monologues for your age. I would put in your gender generally. Is probably going to be helpful for it to whittle it down. However, of course, you can look beyond your specific gender and generally your rough stage age, let's say. I usually specify don't find the monologues for me, because what it will do, if you just ask it and say, I'm looking for monologues, it will just pull up the monologues that everybody else is doing because it's on that, backstage best 20 monologues of 2021 or whatever. You're going to get the same monologues as everyone else. And this is not what you want. You actually want to find stuff that you care about that's maybe from a play that's a little bit different. So just asking for it to look for the plays only is a really good way to start. Now, if you have a version of ChatGPT or a different AI that gives you a little bit of a rundown of what it's doing, this can sometimes be quite useful to just notice how it's searching, because it can tell you a lot about the way it's refining things. So you can say, no, don't do that. I want this. So for example, one of the things that I noticed that came up was that it said it was looking for stuff that was in Australia. So I previously have had to say, don't just stick to Australian plays because I'm based in Australia. So you might need to tell it, look at international plays. Or if you're thinking that you really want to have stuff just from your country, then specify that as well. So these are actually pretty decent. Now, these ones, I happen to know that, the effect is massively popular. Sometimes my test is if I find a monologue and I look it up on YouTube and there's just buckets and buckets of actors performing that monologue. They've got a heap of self-tapes for that monologue on YouTube. Chances are it is a bit overdone. Okay, so I'm liking this list. It's interesting for me because I'm noticing some names that I've seen pop up a few times when I've been searching for stuff. I'm really been familiar with Adam Bock or Joshua Harmon, but because their names have been popping up a few times recently when I've been searching for stuff, that gives me a sense of, okay, this is probably someone whose work I need to now get familiar with. And so this would make me go, okay, what's this guy been doing? I'm like, even go and research, where is this stuff being produced? And that is really, really helpful for my understanding of the industry. Any searching that you're doing right now is useful, even if it doesn't lead you to a monologue in the end, because it's really, really helpful to know what kind of playwrights do you actually like? Whose work inspires you? So if I'm in an interview, they might say, well, what kind of work do you like? What do you want to be involved in the future? If you don't have an answer, that's not great. That's going to make you look like you're kind of like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen to me. You need to have a vision, my friend. These are fun. This one sounds kind of interesting to me. It's 3 sisters. That means that there's more likely that there might be something that would be good for me. And I know that I like Mark Bartlett's work. So that's a really good starting point. So I want to start searching for this one, but I will also check some other ones as well. For this process, it's really worth having a subscription to something like Perlego or Scribd or Everand. These are all different databases for
plays and books and that kind of thing. So my favorite one is Per Lego. And so I'm going to look up Mike Bartlett because it also might just give me different stuff that I want to read. Then I might go, okay, I'm going to dig into here. And this is where it's going to take a little bit of time, but I can just actually open it up and scroll through the play and look for any big chunks of text. But first, of course, just so you're not wasting your time, check the character list and see, do they actually have someone that's my age? Now, this one doesn't have any breakdowns about their age or their personalities, that kind of thing. So that is a bit tricky, but sometimes I find it useful to have a look at the original cast list. This is actually a little secret thing. If I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that maybe I want to play, let's say, Freya. And I'm like, well, what is this person going to be like? I would look up this actor. So I'm going to look at Anna Madeley. Okay. Well, I can see it. So I'm looking kind of at their age, roughly, a little bit of what they look like, their general vibe, and maybe some of the stuff that they've done before. Does this person look like the kind of character I could play? Maybe I'm on the money there. So that's when I would go, okay, well, maybe that's a good pick for me. And I'd start looking for Freya monologues so I can scroll through, for example. So I found one already. It's not Freya, it's Jasmine, but still could be good. Now, one of the things I want you to think about when you're going, okay, is this actually a useful monologue? What I would look for is arc. I would look at, does it have any sort of journey through a bookshelf? Okay, I'm loving this already. Okay, yes, it does. It has a journey. I'm really liking this. I'm excited. Okay, I'm just going to pop that in my little shortlist, and then I keep going and looking for stuff maybe from Freya. So the other thing you can do is to try looking for characters that are similar to ones that you have enjoyed. So for example, I've just been watching Down Cemetery Road, and I feel like I could do a kind of Sarah Trafford, that's Ruth Wilson's character. And so she's kind of this bored housewife thing. So I asked it to look for stuff. It gave me actually the same plays, which that makes me think I should probably read those. But I went, that's not quite what I'm looking for. And I noticed in the little thinking notes that it was looking for stuff that was to do with crime. So often you need to specify, and it really helps. Personally, I find it helps me reflect on, well, what is it that I actually like about this character? So I'm like, well, actually, I like that she's flawed. She wants to do something good, but sometimes her decisions are questionable. And now it's given me a heap of different stuff. So this is cool. Some of these are really, really well known. So I would go, these are maybe too well known. What are the ones that I'm not familiar with? Or again, looking at ones I'm like, well, okay, I know like Lungs is super, super popular, and definitely People, Places, Things, so popular. Maybe I can look for stuff that's also by Duncan Macmillan, but less well known. The other great way you can do this is to look at theme. This is really, really helpful if you want to impress the panel. I talked about this in my previous video, which I will link for you in case you want to know why is that useful. Basically, you want to show them a little bit of what you care about. So for example, I recently asked ChatGPT to look for stuff about motherhood, because that's something that is central to my life. So I started to research, okay, what are some plays that I could maybe pull some monologues from that are focused on motherhood? And it came up with some really good suggestions. So you want to take a sec to think about what are some things that are important to you? What are issues that are central to your life? Now, that does not have to be big political issues. It could be if that's something you're interested in, but it could also be the public transport in my city is rubbish and it drives me nuts. Surprisingly enough, there are actually plays about town planning and stuff like that out there. You would be surprised what exists out there, and you might find it really, really interesting. And it's the sort of thing that can spark a conversation, especially in interviews. Why did you choose that monologue from this particular play? And you can say, well, I really care about public transport or whatever it is. So have fun looking for that sort of stuff. Now, if you are not getting anything good from AI, or you don't want to use AI, let's look at the other ways that you can go about this. So bye-bye AI. You can look at productions that your dream school or your top schools have been doing, particularly for the program that you're auditioning for. So here I'm looking at David Geffen. Now, they are pretty handy because they have got a big list of all their past productions for the last few years. And I'm just getting a sense of what have they been putting on. If there are any cool plays, I can certainly look them up. But more so what I'd be looking at is the playwrights. So if I see something that I think is interesting, this playwright, for example, I might look them up and then see, cool, they've got some other stuff that I can read. And then I can have a look at, are there any characters that might suit me? And then I can do my scroll through like I did before. Now, finally, if you get really stuck, my last ditch attempt is look at what's been happening in your city or even just your country. Like if you're in the UK somewhere, I might look at something like the Royal Court where they've got new writing happening a lot. Generally, when you're doing these kinds of methods, looking at the school or what's happening in your city, you don't necessarily need to have something that's really recent, though you can. Sometimes it's better to reach back and see something from like maybe a couple of years ago, but it just gives you an indication of, okay, these playwrights are popular. It probably means that they're doing some pretty good work. The school will be familiar with at least the plays, if not those monologues. It means that you have got your eye on some quality stuff, basically. And that's what you want. You want really, really high quality stuff, as high quality as possible when it comes to drama school auditions. So now you know what you need to look for and a bit of the process. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about some of the common mistakes that people make, both with monologue choices and in the other elements of the whole drama school audition process. So when you're ready, I'll see you over in the next video.